All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again for another episode of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. This is your host Chambers here, along with the crew, the Giant Crab Jamal. We got D Wayne in the house and Dr. M returning back from his tour in Germany. How's everybody doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Jamal?
Today.
I'm not hearing you, Jamal, so let me know something. I know you're there, but I'm not hearing you, brother. Bear with us real quick as we work out some technical difficulties real fast. You're on mute. All right, well, I'm sure he'll get it all figured out, but okay, I got the message. But anyway, yeah, like I said, we're back again for another episode. A lot of interesting things to bring up this week as usual. There's always good stuff to talk about in wrestling. A lot of positive stuff, which is also very great, and a lot of things to speculate as we head into the road to SummerSlam. But before we start there, let's cover some which happens to really be the reality of wrestling now, the universe where mixed martial arts and WWE exist. We've seen it in the past. Conor McGregor calling out wrestling fans. We've seen, as far as boxing, we've seen Floyd Mayweather actually in the ring, and a lot of WWE talent was successful in both sports. But I mean, we're talking about another fantasy match to happen. Jon Jones this weekend just beat DC to regain his forfeited light heavyweight championship in UFC, which was a really good match. Very, very, very good to see Jon Jones back. A very emotional speech for him afterwards for both him and DC. But before he left the octagon, he called out Brock Lesnar, and I was extremely shocked that he took this route. But I mean, in the world we're living in now, this is it. Everybody's calling out these big fantasy matches that you least suspect. I mean, granted, next month we get Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor in a boxing match. Who would have ever thought this was really going to go down? But Brock Lesnar versus Jon Jones, with Brock Lesnar also re-entering into the blood sampling pool. He's been suspended for a year from his last fight with Mark Hunt. But he's re-entering for eligibility to return to the octagon, which he's also been speculated to doing so as well too. So, Brock Lesnar responded to Jon Jones as well on Twitter and said, like, basically watch your mouth, little boy. Like, you never know what may happen. And granted, he is little because Jon Jones gives up about 20 pounds to Brock Lesnar. Maybe not right now, but Brock Lesnar at his UFC weight gives up about 20 weight.
70 pounds. About 70 pounds.
So, I mean, look, is this something you guys are interested in?
Of course.
I would pay to see it.
I would see it. I mean, you have practically pound for pound the best MMA fighter in the world versus attraction. Why wouldn't I be interested?
We can already confirm that Brock Lesnar is one of the biggest draws. I mean, besides Conor McGregor, who hasn't had a bag bigger than him since Brock Lesnar, it was the highest paid UFC fighter after that fight with Mark Hunt. Steroids or not, he's an attraction, as you said, and everybody, that's what people want to see now. They want to see these fantasy matches. Jamal?
Yeah, the problem I have is I don't know who Jim Jones is.
Jon Jones.
Whatever his name is.
Jim Jones is rapping somewhere in New York.
Right. Whoever the Dipset is, I don't know who he is. I don't care. I'm bored in general with Lesnar. He doesn't do anything for me anymore. So to call him an attraction, what makes Brock Lesnar so special? We've seen him do exactly what he's going to do. It's not like Brock Lesnar is going to pull out like a 450 centaur or anything like that, out of his hat. And if he goes to UFC, then I don't watch it anyway. I'm completely ignorant of the MMA world, and if Lesnar goes there, cool. I guess I won't see it.
Marcus?
I think I'm gonna side with Dwayne here. I would love to see the match, not because I think it would be, a great match or an instant classic, but just the spectacle of it. I mean, just seeing Brock Lesnar and Jon Jones in the same octagon, that's going to be enough to draw many people to pay boatloads of money. So I think just the spectacle is was going to be the it factor for this match.
I mean, we're talking about Brock Lesnar making, which was record breaking, $2.5 million against his fight with Mark Hunt, who, the uncasual, any type of combat sports fan may not know who that is. But we're talking about Jon Jones, who's arguably the best UFC fighter currently fighting, and could make an argument of maybe all time against a person who just grossed the highest purse in UFC history. There is a draw here. Absolutely. And, it's not just because I don't think UFC fans is ultimately want to see it, but I mean, you're bringing the best of both worlds. You're bringing the wrestling fans over, and you're bringing the Jon Jones followings. And Jon Jones has been screwing up for about a year and some change, from his hit and run incident to failed drug tests. He just can't get it together. And miraculously, he still comes up on top, still draws the big crowd. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see this, especially with the weight comparisons too. I mean, that's light heavyweight versus the heavyweight. I mean, it happens, but we're talking about two of the best at their weights coming together. It will be interesting for sure.
Easily the highest grossing MMA fight ever. Easily.
But
yeah,
the question that I have is, as a person that doesn't know MMA, why would I want to see this match? Like, I can't think of a legitimate reason why I would want to see Brock Lesnar versus Jerry Jones. A person that I don't know or follow, like his accomplishments don't resonate with me because I have no reference with him. So what makes him this spectacle and this draw?
Easy. I mean, one, he's been through the adversity. He bounced back. Everybody loves a story like that.
I don't.
Two, he's a light heavyweight. So if you're not really a casual type of, I don't like MMA styles and the different types of martial arts that there is, Jon Jones is a striker by day easily. And
wait. So basically, this is Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio.
No.
Actually, in three, there's a very good chance Brock Lesnar might get knocked out.
Very good chance. Very good chance. I mean, this is not no fluffed up hype match between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, where like they're entering different realms. Somebody's entering a different realm of sports, sporting. These are two actually UFC fighters, two different weight classes, two of the most profound weight classes. And these matches between light heavyweights and heavyweights, they typically don't go past a third round. So you're talking about a champion, depending on which weight they fight at, may be a 5-round UFC fight. It's not going that far. It may go to the end of the first at the very, very max. So I'm extremely excited to see what happens. I mean, granted, the only problem is we have to wait about a year because Brock Lesnar is suspended. But there's money to be made there, and my butt would be in the seat watching it somewhere.
I'm excited to happen because you could potentially see Brock Lesnar get laid out. I mean, he has shown that if you land a good punch on him, he can't take it.
Yeah, he's been knocked out in his past. That's kind of how he retired the first time. He went in there. I think it was Cain Velasquez. I think it was.
I thought it was Alistair Overeem.
I can't remember that because Alistair Overeem also hasn't been very good for a while, and steroids as well as his past. But he kind of he's bounced back as well too. I'm gonna look that up later, but nonetheless, that's a good match to be seen. And I think my selling to you, Jamal, is I mean you're just looking at somebody who's good in their prime. That this fight can happen when it should happen against two star names in UFC and Jon Jones all over the world. That immediately is going to be inserted to become a match because there is no really big stars right now left in UFC. Jon Jones, Ronda Rousey, who's pretty much out, and Conor McGregor, who's I don't even know what his next venture is. I doubt if we see him back in the octagon, considering that the type of money he's going to get from his boxing match, and he knows he can command more. So Jon Jones is your star for the UFC. He is the front man of UFC right now. And this won't be a wrestling match. This would be a striking blow, no longer than 2 rounds. Very, 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 very match, period.
And I think personalities are key to this match too. I mean, if you think about Jon Jones and Brock Lesnar, both those guys are very polarizing, right? You go on YouTube and find any interview with Jon Jones, and you can see why he has a cult following, but also there's many people that want to punch him in the face. Same with Brock Lesnar, right? Even though Heyman does his talking for him, right? But same with him. There are people that love him, that salivate whenever he's in the ring, and then there are people that just crave seeing him get his butt kicked, right? And so just that together, I mean, the crowd is going to be great if that match ever happens.
And also too, just to reiterate on that a little bit too, Brock Lesnar being a wrestler as well, a lot of people in the UFC didn't take to that because they didn't like the reality of something that's real versus something that's kind of scripted being meshed up together. Even though it's been done for years, but this new generation of UFC fans did not take a liking to it, thus putting a mark on Brock Lesnar's head, saying, I want to see this guy get knocked out and sit back to the UFC. This is what CM Punk is suffering from right now. And no, CM Punk is being scheduled to make another fight in 2017, but we're not going to talk about that tonight.
How did his other fight go?
Not good. Not good. Not good at all. So moving forward, going into SummerSlam, I mean, right now we have a women's match for the Raw Women's Championship between Alexa Bliss and Bayley. And I'm just wondering, do you guys think, like, is this really like the right match for SummerSlam? Like, should this really be booked for this? And, with how things are taken to with the internet, with legitimate feuds and legitimate energy put behind it, why isn't Sasha Banks put into this slot, considering that Sasha is really has her target on Alexa Bliss as far as not just her as a wrestler, but more or less her as a person. About how she plays this little fairy tale girl that's like blah blah blah. I grew up to watching wrestling. She's really coming at that. She thinks it's really ingenuine. But again, do you think that Bayley versus Alexa Bliss is the right match? Do you think this match is actually going to happen, considering Bayley just took an injury? What do you make of this?
Well, I guess the first thing is, if Bayley's injury is legitimate and she will be out for some time, then okay, where do you go from here? The WWE, especially on the Raw side, seems to only manage one big feud at a time, and everyone else seems to be in a holding pattern. And unfortunately, SummerSlam is 2 or 3 weeks away, and we don't really have any clear-cut storylines going forward. Because Alexa Bliss and Bayley it really doesn't need to happen. They could insert really anyone in there. Who's champion? Bliss? They could insert anyone in there, and it'd be, decent. I think because it is SummerSlam, and it is a big deal, it's, arguably the second biggest show of the year, I would like to see the stakes raised a bit. But there's been no talk of a cage match or a ladder match or anything like that. And we saw how well they did with the stipulation of a hardcore match back in Extreme Rules. So, but with that said, is this the right move? Well, yes and no. We know that Bayley can have a decent match, and Bliss shows flashes of brilliance also. But they're not doing anything with Bayley creatively. That's maybe not entirely her fault. So I think that if the injury is a work and she'll just come back and do what she needs to do at SummerSlam, okay. But let's see her take that character and evolve it into something else and go with that. Or I guess the better question is, do we turn Bayley heel? And how do we do that?
Marcus?
I think it's the wrong match for sure. Mainly because of some of the points Jamal just raised. Bayley, I think, great wrestler, obviously, and we know she can put on a great match, but I've long thought that her gimmick has gotten stale. I mean, she still has her hardcore fans, mostly children, that cheer loudly for her, but I don't think the feud she had with Alexa Bliss did her any good, so I don't see the point in having them fight again. I think Sasha is the much better choice, especially considering what appears to be some actual heat between the two, if we believe some of the rumors that have been out there, and if we put much into the Twitter back and forth between the two. I think that would be a much better, much more intense match. Solid heel in Alexa Bliss, solid favorite in Sasha Banks, and I think they, if given the right amount of time, would put on a great match. So yeah, I don't agree with Bayley Alexa. Yes, it could be a good match, but I don't think it's the right call.
Dwayne, let me throw this question at you. Do you feel that Alexa Bliss may be the biggest woman superstar on Raw draw currently?
Currently, that's a good question. And she's close. I still think that Sasha will draw more than her. I think that if you let Sasha off her leash, because you can tell that creative guy that has her on the leash right now. It would be no comparison.
And with that being said, because Sasha obviously is a phenomenal superstar, arguably could be one of the best wrestlers in the company, and Alexa Bliss still developing, hasn't really put on that really marquee match that we're looking for, but people like her, thus making her a draw. So, you know, that's why she's in this spotlight, because she's phenomenal on mic. But, you know, as far as SummerSlam, that's what you want. You want your draw. And I agree. I think Sasha should be in the spotlight. Bayley is feeling a little flat.
The issue right now is that, and I can see where it's coming from, they didn't want two heels in that match, because I personally think Sasha's better as a heel. If you have her as a heel, it'll be heel versus heel. So I can see why they went with that match, but I don't like it.
Yeah, and you know, moving on to our next point, Sasha, you know, really legitimized her heelish in Raw Talk, basically calling out Alexa Bliss again, and it just lets you know, like, you know, she's not able to do that in the ring, and this is why like stuff like Raw Talk and Talking Smack was useful, because people get a chance to put their characters over and show a side that you may not get to see in the ring, especially how women's segments are always being cut, you know, or fluctuate. Sometimes we get a 3 or 4 segment women's night. Sometimes we get barely one. So with that being said, with Talking Smack being taken off the network, and it was used as an outlet for wrestlers, and, you know, other times and other talenters that basically get their characters over and go off the script. What do you guys think could be other ideas and methods or replacements for this absence of Talking Smack and so on?
Well, I actually thought about that a lot. I never watched Talking Smack or Raw Talk or, you know, After Dark or whatever the hell they have, just because I just don't care. But if it was an outlet, they do have the YouTube thing where they follow behind the stage. Why isn't that a live show? During the draft last year on SmackDown and Raw, they had the live picks. But on the WWE Network, they had a Sports Center-like, NBA draft-like show that complemented what was going on live TV. Maybe not for the entire 3 hours, but maybe the last half hour of Raw, you can get caught up with you know, what's happening on the show, and then maybe some insight and behind-the-scenes thing. Now, obviously, that would take viewers away from your main event, or it could add a second screen experience that WWE has really yet to utilize with the network.
Dr. M, your remarks on that?
It's a tough question. It's something I have to think more about, but I think something that has been successful is some of the superstars that have kind of been able to branch off from anything connected to WWE Network and do their own thing. Prime example being what Xavier Woods has been able to do with Up, Up, Down, Down. Now, of course, his is focused on video games, but in my opinion, there's been more character development on there and more insight into the people employed in WWE through his channel than there's been in some of the stuff WWE has produced. And so I just wonder if I mean, if we think back to the days when Zack Ryder was on his way out and he kind of catapulted himself with his own YouTube show, I just wonder if maybe that's the way to go for other superstars, right? Maybe not everybody had their own individual show, right? But have more stuff, you know, like Up, Up, Down, Down, but maybe focused on some other hobby or something, just to give people more insight into the characters, right? If WWE doesn't want the production costs associated with Talking Smack or any of these other shows, then put more initiative into the hands of the superstars themselves. We have seen, like I said before, that it can be successful, right? I just wish more superstars would do it.
But I think therein lies the problem. If Talking Smack did tremendous in the ratings, if the everything else that they tried to do, Ride Along and other stuff, caught on, and it brought subscribers to the network, then we wouldn't have this problem. But the real is that it didn't. I mean, as much as people want to lament over Talking Smack and Raw Talk and the pre-shows and all that stuff, we weren't seeing the revenue stream coming in. And I think that Vince also doesn't like something that he can't mold creatively. It's something that's out of his grasp. And though luckily Up, Up, Down, Down doesn't feature storylines per se, because the Usos are prominently featured on their show, even though they're in a feud right now. So that's something that shouldn't happen. And even still, Jericho's podcast and stuff like that, they canceled the Edge and Christian show. They're not doing Steve Austin's podcast anymore for unrelated reasons. But the idea is that they've given, yes, some of their more noteworthy personalities the ability to branch out. And because of these recent string of budget cuts, they're pulling them back. But I can't just say, like they did with the parody Talking Smack, well, just give them a camera and put it on Periscope, and you have 5 minutes to make it work. That's not the same thing. They're fooling themselves if they think it is.
I'm just going to just ask this question, straight up answer. I'm really the tout thing still hasn't sat on me correct. Like from last week, I can't even believe it was still alive. Is that realistically a solution here? Straight up, yes or no?
No. No, I mean, their YouTube channel has 17 million subscribers. I honestly think that if they wanted a scripted thing, they could definitely go live on YouTube, for a half hour or so, and have one of the brunettes run around backstage and see if they can, grab people for a word. It doesn't have to be. It's kind of like the Oscars post-game show or the NFL post-game show. The game is over and they go back down to the field to see who they can grab. If they can do something like that between 10 and whatever SmackDown ends and 11, just after 11, that is something that can give people just a little bit more. But I don't know. I don't know if they're willing to do that because production cost.
I like that idea a lot. I would almost prefer something like that over these what seem to be becoming more and more generic kickoff shows that we have before the pay-per-views now. I would prefer if we had like a 15 or 20-minute segment on the network or on YouTube before Raw, before SmackDown, before a pay-per-view, where instead of us seeing 4 people sitting at a table talking at us for an hour, have Renee Young or Charlie, whatever her name is on Raw, right, have them sort of roaming around backstage getting interviews and filming people coming into the arena and getting quick words with them. I think that would be much better, actually.
Right. Or if they tape it throughout the show and just release it to YouTube or the network after the show ends, obviously that would impact the main event or something like that, and logistically that could be problematic. But yeah, 20 minutes after Raw ends, you have like after Raw or whatever, or just outsource it. Renee Young came from a podcast-like show in Canada on Sportsnet or whatever it was called back then, and then After Buzz and all that stuff. There are people that do this for free. Us, for example, Vince, if you're watching, But
Yeah.
You know, that's a thing that could happen. There are other ways to reach things, but I just think that they need to get the hell out of town, closing up shop, and B, it doesn't fit within the script, the creative control that they have that Vince wants to keep a little bit closer to the chest.
You know what? And this so I can wrap up this topic too. You know, at this point too, I do like to have a perspective of just a person being able to get their character over besides just Twitter. Twitter is very useful, more useful than I ever thought it would be, using it throughout the years of views. I mean, the heels within the last 2 years have taken it to the next level. I mean, Kevin Owens has been the epitome of how to use a Twitter as your ultimate weapon to get yourself over. He legitimately puts himself as a family man, but he doesn't take anything from a fan. Thus, he does the same thing at house shows, which I was first exposed to, and then he does it in real shows. And that's.
But to be completely fair, Kevin Owens' character allows that.
Right.
Because what would Bray Wyatt's Twitter be? You know, right. Look at Luke Harper's Twitter. It doesn't make any sense.
I got you. I get it. Luke Harper's
Bray Wyatt's Twitter would be epic.
Luke Harper's Twitter actually is very scary because he repeats the same thing every single day, and it really much makes me feel that he doesn't have a bot or anything running. I legitimately think he does that every single day, and it's super weird. And Dr. M definitely put a spotlight out for him, wondering where he was one day when he did not tweet. And everybody's like, I hope he's okay. But no, I mean, like at this point now, use whatever social media you guys got will be my suggestions. If they're going to take away a legitimate WWE programming for you on the network, which is doing cuts, I would say use your Periscope, use Twitch, which is opening for anything. Use your YouTube channels because you're going to have a following regardless. I mean, people like Dean Ambrose, who never tweets, people like Elias Sampsons, who never tweets, have millions of followers because people know who they are. You don't think if they start a channel that people won't do the same thing? And, you know, to the point of just putting yourself over for 2 minutes in some type of video or something after a match, people will watch it. And I think it would be a great thing. I like talking smack because you do more or less get a humanized feel for people, but yet you still get to see them, develop their character in a ways that they wouldn't do in the ring. Baron Corbin is absolutely the epitome of that as well for me, because I feel like his character didn't have really direction at a point, but he came out there and he kept cutting good promos, and it was intriguing. So, moving on to the next topic. So the Mae Young Classic, which I really, really, really cannot wait for it to get released. And it's going to be I think it's going to be one of the most spectacular things ever once all the episodes are out. But something from the Mae Young Classic that was rumored, and, you know, there's videos and stuff if you really search on Twitter and stuff and also WWE's Twitter page and YouTube channel also validates this as well. Ronda Rousey made an appearance there. And Ronda Rousey has been on WWE's radar for a while, considering that the rumors is for her to be retiring soon. Dana White saying that he doesn't think she's going to get back in the octagon again. She very well much has a fast lane to WrestleMania. We'll get to that in a second. But she was there to support one of the 4 horsewomen of MMA, Shayna Baszler, who, she showed her support for her there. And if you, like I said, search on the internet, you've seen that there was a confrontation between the 4 horsewomen of MMA and the 4 horsewomen of WWE. I think minus Sasha Banks was there, or maybe Becky Lynch. I can't remember. But yeah. So allegedly there was a confrontation between the 8 of them. And I'm just wondering, do you guys think by any means that this may end up being a WrestleMania match, or what do we make of this competition in the first place?
Well, I think it's a great tease for one. If Vince is able to pull this off, hats off to him, right? I hope he can pull it off. I think it would be a great WrestleMania match, and that would make me even more excited, than I already am to head to New Orleans in April, right? It seems like it would just take pulling a lot of strings to make that happen, though, with the MMA connections and whatnot. But man, I mean, as much as we can criticize Vince for a million things, you can't deny that when he wants to put something into motion, he does it. And if he's actually putting this into motion, I think it can be great.
Giant Crab.
I wish I knew who these people were.
Okay, well, I'll say this. You know the 4 horsewomen of WWE. That's easy.
Right.
You know who Ronda Rousey is because we're not going to play this game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I do know who she is. She was in Mission Impossible.
And Fast and Furious, too. Wait, was she in Mission Impossible or was that Fast and the Furious?
She was definitely in Mission Impossible.
She's definitely in Fast and the Furious because Michelle Rodriguez beat her in that. How impossible was that? And then the one person... she's in the Mae Young Classic, so we are going to see. We will see her, and you know, from the stuff I've seen on Twitter, she's had phenomenal matches. Is what I'm saying. It was what I'm reading. So we know she advances to some extent. And then the other two, they'll come along, but I think obviously there's money to be made here. They've been wanting Ronda Rousey on the radar for a while. It, like Dr. M said, if this can be pulled off, this may be spectacular to all types of stardom levels, period. D-Wayne, what's your take on this?
I'm kind of iffy. Like, do I really want to see this? Will it be a draw? Yeah, it's a big money draw. I mean, of course, but let's see it.
How about this? Cris Cyborg, another MMA/UFC fighter, has been trolling Becky Lynch for months now about how she wants to wrestle her at SummerSlam. I mean, to coming up with promo posters and everything, which looks really good. Cris Cyborg, which a lot of people may not know, is Ronda Rousey's maybe worst nightmare because she was tracking Ronda for years trying to get a fight, just trolling this girl. I mean, she arguably has been failing some drug tests. She's a pretty scary woman, but she's calling out Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch is like, bring it, bro. So, I mean, this is the reality. Like I said in the beginning of the show, UFC and WWE are just interlocking by all means. Is that even?
Do we mean scary in a Nicole Bass kind of a way?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I don't know who she is, so.
I mean, she's not physically she doesn't have the physical intimidation of Nicole Bass, but she's vicious like Nicole Bass, if that makes any sense.
All right.
But she's no joke. She's really no joke. And I really I love Becky. Everybody knows that. But I wouldn't even, first of all, I thought the only match for Cris Cyborg was Ronda Rousey when she was at her peak. Now, and it will have to be Amanda Nunes at some point. But other than that, I'm not seeing, I really don't want to see her around anybody else because she's going to beat up on these girls. She is physically dominating if she can stay clean. But I mean, just for the sake
but
of
she can't.
Yeah, well. But if it was able to happen, would you be interested in seeing Becky Lynch and another MMA fighter for SummerSlam?
I would not want to see that match. I mean, like 2 Chainz, I respect Becky Lynch. I think she's a wonderful addition to WWE, but Cris Cyborg would destroy her. I don't think it would be entertaining. So, no, I wouldn't want to see it.
I'm going to say no in general because I don't know who the other lady is, and Becky Lynch is not entertaining at all.
And I guess, D-Wayne, you're also saying no too, right? I don't think you gave a definitive answer, but
I really just don't care. It's like a woman against a teenage boy who's going through puberty and getting all this stress because that's the type of pill she takes.
Look, the defense I'm gonna give for Becky Lynch here, and I don't know how much this is worth, but her boyfriend is a UFC fighter, and I can assure you that there must be some form of training going on behind the scenes to some extent. I'm not going to say that legitimizes her to being in the octagon, but I mean, I don't think she's totally wet behind the ears if it came down to some type of grappling match. But I mean, she's trying to work a WWE match. And I think Cris Cyborg needs to do something like this in order to like put herself over as a star, because she does the work in the octagon, but her name alone doesn't resonate on the casual fan at all. Moving on to the next topic. I mean, this is another one of those like topics that we kind of been talking about over the months, but I think we're at a point right now where we really should iron out something, because I think after SummerSlam something is going to happen. But I'm talking about Enzo Amore, and ultimately, what is his future with the WWE, and how and where would you consider him to be an asset for the company?
An asset? I mean, I guess people like him enough to buy a shirt, but other than that, I don't know. Asset.
Fair enough. Tatiana?
I think merchandise-wise, he's an asset for sure. I think Vince likes anyone who can bring more money into the company. And yeah, you look in the audience every week and you see plenty of people with his wigs or his shirt. So he's got something going for him there. Personally, I'm going to make a bold prediction that Enzo Amore will not be employed in WWE by the end of 2018. I mean, what do you do with him? He's getting killed on Raw every week. Yes, he can do very good promos. He has that going for him for sure. But I mean, the in-ring work just isn't there. Even when he was with Cass, like, he was outshined. I don't think sending him to NXT would do any good, especially with the caliber of talent that is coming into NXT now with people like Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. I think, who was it? Rosenberg, one of those guys that does podcasts, suggested him going to 205 Live, which is an interesting possibility. I think it would add some spark to that show. But again, those guys on 205 would outwork him. And so I don't see how he would be employed by the end of next year.
I see it. You made a great point, Doctor. Him going to 205 Live.
I got a better point coming.
And the reason why I say that is because he has one key feature that a lot of people who are good wrestlers don't have. His ability to do a promo. Ability to do a promo and drag people into it is going to push him a little farther than what we think. So I do see him going to a cruiserweight. I mean, he's the cruiserweight anyway. That's something we know. So why not? And bring some popularity to that division.
So my thing with going to 205 Live is that essentially still puts you on Raw throughout the week. And not only just that, 205 Live, I'm sure, is under the ticking clock for being another victim of the WWE budget cuts. Thus, ultimately meaning that he ultimately ends up back on Raw. So at this point, if 205 Live doesn't have a destination or a home, when the cruiserweights end up being wherever, back in another shakeup or wherever it may be, for the stars in 205 Live that's looking for a breakout, it works for them because it inserts them into all weight classes, I would assume. But somebody who also is already on Raw, who hasn't have a purchase, getting murdered each week, getting thrown off the WWE bus, getting in troubles with making, I don't know, TMZ or the news or the BuzzFeed for a run-in with a stripper. It's not a lot going on around for him good besides his merch. So at this point, my bold prediction is that I don't see him being on WWE after 2017. I almost want to say SummerSlam for hiatus, and then ultimately his contract being over. But I don't see him after 2017 for sure. I just don't see a future for the guy.
I see it. Like I said, one reason is his ability to promo, too. His ability to sell merch.
Well, and if he leaves WWE, I'll throw this around to everybody for a quick, solid answer. Where's his destination? Where's his next destination?
Indies.
Be more specific.
Some local scene. I mean, ROH isn't going to take him. I guess I could see Impact or what is it called? GFW,
Global
TNA.
Force. Depending on what day of the week it is.
Shout out to Hootie.
Okay, yeah, I could see them possibly taking Enzo because I mean they seem to take everyone who leaves WWE. But I don't know. I mean, I think he would go on the local indie scene somewhere, probably up in New England, wherever he's from.
I see him working at a Champ Sports at the Staten Island Mall. I just don't see. I don't see like his gimmick doesn't convince me enough to think that like this guy can put a program together with another wrestler. Like what is his gimmick? Because whatever he did, Zack Ryder did it better already. I mean, if that whole New York thing, whatever, Cass is doing it, and Zack Ryder did it better. So he hasn't built himself as a wrestler, somebody that can like actually go in the ring. So he's unproven there. And I think that his name, assuming that we still believe in the theory that NXT is the minor leagues, he does go to the indies, which, okay, fine, he does. He needs a complete makeover, and he needs to not go as Enzo Amore. He needs to go as a geisha girl or something radically different. I don't care what it is. I don't care if he's out there in lederhosen, but he needs to do something totally different because I think that this gimmick in WWE, because of the fact that he's not backing it up with wins and through the wrestling, is kind of growing stale. Same thing with Bayley. Everybody loved her when she won. As soon as she got on the downturn, it's like, well, how can you be so damn optimistic when you literally just lost to, Dana Brooke? Why? How are you confident? Why are you still hugging people when you lost to Dana Brooke? I don't want to hug you anymore. I don't see it.
I think that he's still going to be with the company. I think that they're going to find some place for him.
I do think that they'll give him like he'll do something in WWE because of the fact that they don't want to his revenue stream to go anywhere else. But what that will be, I don't know. Maybe he'll host like a shoe podcast on the YouTube channel, or him and Corey Graves will go tattoo shopping or something. I don't know. Maybe they'll just have Enzo and, well, maybe not Corey Graves, but they'll have Enzo and go to White Castle. I just don't see it, considering that he's not based in a wrestling sense.
Does Enzo, just yes or no, we're moving on to the next topic. Does Enzo join Titus Worldwide?
Oh, God.
No. As much as people want to, first of all, I like Titus' new shirt, and second of all, work for Akira Tozawa. I don't know how. Yeah, do y'all think
wait
for that for Akira Tozawa?
Titus has merch, and we're just talking about it now.
Huh?
Titus has merch.
Yeah,
that is the number one story of the year.
It's nice too.
Merch in 2017.
It's nice. I'm not even gonna fake.
It is nice.
And Akira Tozawa is over right now. I don't know how, but he is. He is over, and it worked for him. Because Enzo,
the Crow,
huh?
The Crow, Tozawa.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it. I just don't see. The difference between Enzo and Cass is the fact that Cass wrestles.
Yeah. They needed each other because, man, one got a mic piece, one doesn't. One can wrestle, one can't. One has the Vince look, one doesn't. It works as them as a tag team. Moving on to our next topic of another tag team that split up, Jason Jordan. And this is another quick little question to throw out. Is this guy a future world champ, or is he just a ship waiting to sink?
Future world champ.
I'll start with you, Dwayne.
Why you gotta start with me? Because I'm still trying to generate my thought process on it.
I definitely put you last in like the last three topics. So
all right, fine. Hey, look, Jason. I don't know. I feel like they're trying to make him Kurt Angle 2.0.
A lot to live up to.
And I don't know if that's the right fit. I have to see more of his personality. personality. Right now, it's just like, okay, what are you? You're kind of bland. Where's your personality at? Like, when is it going to show? And I guess that's going to take time because he was in tag team for a while, and now he's out on his own. But it's just, I'm still trying to feel him. Is he going to be a future world champ? It just depends on how he develops from the first couple of weeks. I see him mid card right now. I don't know. World champ is, especially you being on Raw, it's kind of stacked right now.
Dr. M?
I think Jason Jordan's the future Intercontinental champ. I mean, I hope he can, have a world title run at some point. But like Dwayne said, I think the mid card is going to be as high as he's going to go. To be honest, I think Chad Gable has more potential than Jason Jordan. Maybe not to be a world champ, but I think just long-term potential. Chad Gable is the more viable option here. I hope I'm wrong about. I like both guys, and I hope they both do well. But I thought it was an interesting choice to put Jason Jordan in this role with Kurt Angle. I'll just leave it at that.
To piggyback off the sentiments of Dr. M, I'm going to say that Chad Gable was the voice of American Alpha in NXT. And, I'm not going to say that Jason Jordan was the muscle, but he definitely, Gable was definitely the face of that group. And I think that you take that away, and Gable's going to do well, and he's already started to make inroads on its own. But Jason Jordan, his gimmick, right? What is his gimmick right now outside of this Maury episode that he's going through?
Kurt Angle 2.0.
Is it though?
But that's the problem though, because Shelton Benjamin, if he comes back, he's Kurt Angle 2.0. If Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle 2.0, and then there's a bunch of guys in NXT that look good and are bland as hell that could be Kurt Angle 2.0. So unfortunately, that's not good enough, because the Revival, if any one of them wanted to go ahead and just be more bland, and I say bland not as a bad thing necessarily, because whatever, that's what it is. But Jason Jordan doesn't really stand out outside of this episode that he's dealing with. But once this program is up and he's his father, and however this shenanigans ends, who is Jason Jordan other than outside of his relationship with Chad Gable?
And that's what I'm saying. Like I haven't seen enough personality to figure out what is he going to do. I mean, if you look at him size-wise, he has the size. He has the build to do something. It's just a matter of, can I see more personality from him? I don't know his personality, therefore I can't really connect right now.
And I think that's something that, like, even like, remember how they got started in NXT? It was Chad Gable that was the one that was trying to be more endearing and, hey, nah, come on, man. He has the goofy little catchphrase or whatever. So we liked Gable more. And then once they clicked, they just took off like a rocket. So even since NXT, we really haven't seen who Jason Jordan is. I wish they sold that hoodie that they had with the Jordan and Gable hoodie, track jacket. I need that.
I did like that.
That was hot. But it's like, if you want to say that Jordan and Gable are World's Greatest Tag Team 2.0, okay, cool. That's fine. But at least that's something to compare them to. Aside from that, like, who is he? Because there are just a lot of guys out there that are just great, amateur wrestlers. So what? But I hope he finds it. I hope he finds it soon, and he's going to need it, because once this bubble bursts with this angle that he's running now, what does he have left?
It's funny because it's actually kind of believable that he's his son, because they kind of look alike in a way.
Oh, if you say
I would no, but okay. But considering that Jason Jordan's mom is white, I don't know how that works out too well as far as Kurt Angle being the father. But questions that just really don't have or need answers, I guess.
Well, obviously, the only person that's legitimately white, but maybe mixed, is Vince McMahon, because he's the only person in America to ever get away with that racial slander, and no one checked him.
Booker T.
Well, Booker T's black.
Doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, but anywho, moving on. SmackDown Live pretty much have been putting together better matches than their SmackDown Live pay-per-views. So, just a quick question to throw around to you guys. Do you think some of these high-caliber matches, such as Cena versus Nakamura, which has never happened, obviously a fantasy match, do you think that should have been saved for a pay-per-view?
First of all, right now, I never expected that to be on live TV. That should have been saved for a pay-per-view. I think that's a big draw match. And I'm trying to figure out, why are they putting all these good matches on cable? Save some for your PPVs, and not have to worry about saying, man, this pay-per-view was horrible from SmackDown. Because I've been saying that a lot. SmackDown pay-per-views have been bad.
Dr.
I think if we were talking about 5-10 years ago, then I would say yes, this match should be saved for pay-per-views, because pay-per-views meant something back then. But we have so many pay-per-views now that they don't carry the same importance anymore. So to me, it all honestly doesn't matter when the match happens, right? Outside of the big four pay-per-views, right? I was fine seeing Cena and Nakamura on SmackDown, because I think it would have had the same intensity there versus if it was at Battleground.
And Giant Crab.
I think that now, I didn't see the match, because why would I watch SmackDown Live? But I don't have a problem with them putting a so-called big name matchup like that on regular television. You need something to keep people interested in their weekly process leading up to the pay-per-view, and B, if this is the first time that happened, it gives you a reason. It does make it special if you care about these two guys, where you go, I normally don't watch SmackDown Live, but I'll tune in next week, because who knows what will happen. And if the matches progressively get better, and you give them more time to craft a 5-star match instead of a 3-star match at a pay-per-view, then good. You have to build, and that's what WWE doesn't really seem to be doing. They're not giving people time to do work. So if Cena versus Nakamura wants to be a thing, cool. I don't know where they're going to go from there and how it ended, but it does pique an interest where you go, oh, I should have watched that, but I missed it, and I don't know when it's going to happen again, except it's going to happen 13 Tuesdays in a row from now on.
Good enough. Streamline to our next topic. We talked about this in the past a little bit, and Jamal has definitely been an advocate for what do we do with Dean Ambrose. Seth Rollins has been on top of the company, in the top tier of the company for a while. Love his new shirt, and love the promo that they got with him for WWE 2K18 as well too. But they've been kind of rumoring that the Shield thing may be happening, a Shield reunion, sort of say. And if they absolutely do pull the trigger on the Shield reunion with maybe all three of them, who benefits from this the most, and who actually doesn't benefit from this? I'll start with you, Dr. M.
Well, I think Roman Reigns doesn't benefit from it for sure. He has established that he can go on his own, and sure, the fans boo him, but Vince McMahon seems to embrace that at this point, and you can't doubt that when he's on TV, people pay attention, right? Whether they pay attention just so they can, scream and boo, or if they want to cheer him, right? So I don't think a Shield reunion would work for him. I could see it possibly being beneficial for Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose especially, he needs something new. I think he ultimately needs to be repackaged soon. But Seth Rollins, I would argue he has gotten a little bit stale himself. Yes, he can put on amazing matches no matter what day, what show, right? But after the whole Triple H storyline ended, I mean, it's kind of gotten a little bland for him. So those two would benefit. I don't think it would benefit Roman Reigns.
Dwayne?
Oh crap! My
There you
mute.
go.
Yeah, my mute was what's that? Do I want to see a Shield reunion, and who benefits? Who does? I don't want to see one right now. I don't think there's any point to one right now. I mean, I guess you can see why Seth and Dean are doing it. I mean, I really don't see why. I think it's all creators' fault, and I think they're becoming lazy again. I'm just not into it. I'm not into it at all. Not at all.
And John Crack.
Yeah, I never liked the Shield. I didn't care when they were a thing. I don't care now. I do not like Roman Reigns in any way, shape, or form. So anything that has to do with him, I'm immediately against, unless it's this departure from WWE. As far as Dean Ambrose, I'm surprised that he still has a job there. Honestly, he has grown stale. He's like government cheese. You just can't get rid of him, and it doesn't digest very well. Seth Rollins needs something to do, and Roman Reigns should be working at a Walmart.
I mean, yeah, Roman Reigns has arguably been, which is kind of fitting going into our next topic. He's pretty much been at the top of the company. He is the draw. He is the Vince McMahon golden child, and he has probably benefited the most from the split. He's main evented WrestleMania 3 times and won the title maybe 3 times, I think, as well too. And he's still in the top tier picture no matter what. I mean, even being suspended from a steroid use, which ultimately got other people fired, he's still here. He is the man, so to say. Dean Ambrose does need something to do, so it's kind of intriguing considering that he has been stale. Seth Rollins has been hot. So to bring them all together, which Dean Ambrose was the leader, it may benefit him, I think, the most. I definitely think it definitely hurts Roman Reigns the most as well. But on the contrary, Roman Reigns is getting booed, and like Dr. M said, Vince may be embracing that. I think if he goes Shield, maybe does turn the tables for him again, and maybe he gets the cheers that they ultimately wanted since day one. So it could possibly work for Roman Reigns, benefiting him the most, but it may hurt him the most. But speaking of Roman Reigns, him and John Cena seem to be in a little Twitter beef, and I don't know what to really make of it, because it's just like, they're sticking to character, obviously, or is Cena sticking to character. But nonetheless, I mean, what do we make of this? And like, are we really ready for this match to happen? Because they're calling each other out. Is this the big money match that we want? And do we want it to happen like now? And is this pretty much the passing of the torch to Roman Reigns, who ultimately will be the face of WWE? Dwayne.
I hope not.
Dwayne's got it's Roman Reigns. That's his.
First of all,
his baby daddy.
Hold on. Taking this up too far. But let's straight. You can make this Roman Reigns versus John Cena has to happen. It's just a matter of when. When?
Well said.
You know what? I won't be surprised if it happens at WrestleMania next year. I mean, John Cena is a free agent, right? He wants to, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that's in the plans for how he's being booked. Besides just rating, I'm sure there's some mega match where, and you gotta think about it too. These guys have been totally separated for a long. They've never encountered each other in WWE by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're starting interest on Twitter, which I've said earlier. It's been useful for putting people, for people getting their self characters over and starting stuff. But continue if you have anything else to add to that.
I mean, there's nothing else to add. I mean, you're planting the seeds. It's a match that Vince has to let it happen. I mean, it happens to everyone. And we got John Cena over here getting more movies and saying that he only has limited time left. So you take those clues and you have a Vince guy and Roman to pass the torch to. It's bound to happen. It's just a matter of when. And personally, I think that the more movies John Cena gets into, the less likely he'll be on TV. So I'm thinking the perfect time may be WrestleMania next year.
Jamal?
I'll entertain this because I really don't care. And honestly, if I'm really being honest, whatever gets Cena out of the door faster, I'm for. To have something tomorrow night, I'll buy the cake. But Cena needs to go. Bye. You've done it 15 years. He's done it all. Blah, blah, blah. 16 championships. He can go. Roman Reigns getting the torch passed to him. Honestly, doesn't deserve it, but whatever. I mean, unfortunately, he's one of the better things that they have going. Personally, Cena versus Roman in any capacity. I don't care if it's at a Dairy Queen parking lot. That is a bathroom break for me. So if it needs to happen for people, and I know that these are two popular guys, and that this could be a big money thing. The problem is, who's the heel in this? Cena can't go heel. He's Disney. Roman Reigns can't go heel because we won't let him. It doesn't matter what he does. We'll boo him anyway. So Roman Reigns hasn't officially gone heel. Cena can't. So how do you set this up into a thing? But honestly, do it at SummerSlam. Just get him out of here. I'm sick of John Cena. I'm sick of both of them. But John Cena can go first.
And Dothan.
I think the match will happen, and like Dwayne, I think it will happen at WrestleMania. I think that's the appropriate stage for those two. And my hope is that by then Roman Reigns will have gone heel. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I know Vince wants him to be the next face of the company, but for the life of me, I don't understand why they haven't capitalized on the fact that you have so much potential if he's like sort of the cocky jerk heel that he's demonstrated that he can be. That type of heel against John Cena, that would be a match I would want to see, to be honest, at WrestleMania on the biggest stage. As far as the passing of the torch question, that's probably what Vince is going for. I don't think a lot of fans see it that way, but it seems like that's the story Vince is pushing, and if that's the case, then so be it. But I think it will happen at WrestleMania because, I mean, we're working against time here. Cena, is he in his 40s? He's 40 something, right?
Yeah.
He is 40.
And so, I mean, plenty of wrestlers still compete well into their 40s and early 50s, but I think Cena has more wear and tear on his body than perhaps most. And so we can't keep stretching this thing out here. Like, it has to happen soon, and I think WrestleMania in New Orleans would be the perfect spot.
All right. And that will do it for the topic. So you know what it's time for, Jamal?
Yep. So do we care this week? Just want to keep it short, but there are a couple of things. The first thing is, do we care that NXT released a superstar?
I didn't even know. Who was it?
Oh, so you got to care.
Do we care?
I mean, I guess I should care now.
Let's say this
I hear one.
That's two, because I said it too. I'm wondering why we didn't get an update for this person too.
Okay, so according to Wrestling Inc., WWE has released NXT wrestler Ho Ho Lun, who last was seen on TV June 28th. He was eliminated from the Cruiserweight Classic last year by Noam Dar in the second round. His last match was versus the American Velveteen Dream, Prince. June 28th. So that happened.
Dude was trash anyway.
Can I change my answer? I don't care.
You gotta live with it now.
Dude was trash. I was ripping him apart in the Cruiserweight Classic. People were really liking it. I'm saying, this is the sloppiest person that's in there. And at one point, I thought he was the youngest, and then I realized it wasn't him. It was Noam Dar, and I was just like, oh no, 29. Huh? Yeah, I know. I thought they were saying he was booked as the youngest person at the time. But yeah, I mean, he had nothing going on, and he wasn't good to me. So Sarnar, and he didn't even get a notification on WWE app. So that's how bad he was.
Fair enough. Braun Strowman and Karen Jarrett, their interaction, a little bit more detail has come out about that. Do we care?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So I will be there in New York for the Progress show. But a WWE match will happen at this Progress show. Do we care?
Yes.
So Jack Gallagher versus Pete Dunne will happen, and it will be for the UK Championship. Pete Dunne and called out Jack Gallagher. Dunne really doesn't care, but Gallagher called out Pete Dunne and said, "Hey, why not me? Why not them?" And the NXT Progress guys are going to be doing a bunch of shows in New York the weekend before NXT Takeover. They're doing 2 shows one show in Brooklyn on Friday and one show in Queens on Saturday, and then Evolve is after that. So they're going to be a couple guys that are sticking around for that. So get your tickets, man. They're really selling out if you're trying to make it up to New York in 2 weeks. But that is the weekend before SummerSlam. And the last thing that we may or may not care about is Paige. She has given kind of an update for any type of return. Do we care?
No.
Actually, yes. It seems to be something positive coming from their corner. So, yeah.
Dwayne, do we care?
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to. So she revealed on SiriusXM Busted Open Radio that she will be returning to WWE soon. She doesn't have an exact return date, but she's waiting to hear back from her doctor undergoing a CT scan during a checkup. She also said this earlier today. She's been out since June of last year with a neck injury. She had neck surgery in October, so her prognosis for the type of surgery that she had, she could be on the road getting back into the ring around nowish if everything goes according to plan. So it's not out of the realm possibility of seeing Paige before Survivor Series back on TV.
Where did Paige get drafted to, by the way?
She did not. She was injured.
Oh, okay. So where do we put her? Where do we put her? What do we do with her?
I think you put her on SmackDown.
Bingo.
I would love to see a Paige versus Naomi at her top tier right now.
Yeah, but I think whether it's a SmackDown pay-per-view between Survivor Series and the Rumble, if they have one, I'm sure they have at least 2. I think you just have her come out, and because Naomi doesn't really have to do anything else. Charlotte doesn't seem to be interested in being a 19-time women's champion. Lana still gets chances for some damn reason, and who else is Bliss, Natalia, whatever. You can, it's like shuffling cards. I mean, whatever. Who cares? But if Paige comes out and says, if Naomi comes out and says, "I've beaten everybody, there's nobody left," and Paige's music hits, that'd be a big moment wherever she lands, either SmackDown or Raw. But I hope it's SmackDown because I really don't have faith in the Raw Women's Championship.
Did anybody get chills from that? Because
No.
I see that being a huge pop. Huge pop. I think also, too, making her a babyface maybe pretty much sweeps all this other stuff under the rug for her.
If they give it 3 or 4 months before she comes back, which will put her before the end of the year, I say Royal Rumble. If she legitimately has a chance to make it to the ring by Royal Rumble, that would be a heck of a build-up throughout December and January to face whatever champion she faces. And I think that would be a pretty cool thing. Now, that also gives you a buffer between now and then to kind of forget about her wet hot crazy summer that she's had. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was Do We Care?
All right. So before we wrap up today's episode, SummerSlam, which I didn't mention as a topic. So I guess this is kind of like a topic and a quick just yes or no for everybody. Well, prediction sort of said, but SummerSlam is being rumored to have 13 matches. How long will SummerSlam be?
Well, the official thing is 4 hours.
As of right now,
They said that SummerSlam is going to be they said that SummerSlam is going to be 4 hours and it's going to be a 2-hour pre-show.
so 6 hours.
The show itself is 4 hours, but if you want to see, Cedric Alexander and Alicia Fox and a watermelon, wrestle it, duke it out, that'll be on the pre-show.
2-hour pre-shows is absolutely bananas to me. But so okay. Well, anyway, that will do it for our show tonight. Again, make sure you guys, if you want to catch our live episodes, step over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of interesting stuff coming up in the future. Some interviews, some exclusive interviews from some hot indie talent all over the United States. So definitely stay tuned for that. And because you never know when we're going to hit us. Our weekly episodes is Thursday, but we got to accommodate the people that we're interviewing. So you never know what time we may go live. So again, for me, for Dr. M, for the Giant Crab, and for D Wayne, thanks for tuning in tonight, and we will catch you guys for our next episode next week.